So as I'm making my way through England, through the countryside, of course I had to stop at some old castles, but this one is actually very important because I'm in the middle of making a Robin Hood Prince of Thieves filming location. In the movie, this is Robin Hood's home, and his father had been killed and actually hung up inside. So I figure this is worth a tour anyway, just to show you how beautiful this castle is. So this incredible looking hexagonal castle is called Wardour, and it was built in the late 1390s for Lord John Lovell. It sits in partial ruin as it has for hundreds of years after a massive explosion during a civil war in the 1640s. The catastrophic damage that you see ended a long standoff, and Wardour was taken back by its owners after being taken during that civil war. And by the way, I apologize for the quality of this drone footage. I lost the original files. This was recovered from the DJI app, so the original 4K video files are gone, but at least this gives you an idea of what it looks like flying through the air. All right, now, of course, I'm going to take you inside to see what this beautiful castle looks like. When I think of England, this is what I think of: old castles. This is exactly what I think of. Wow. Oh, okay, so the ceiling is new. So they did it in order so you could go upstairs. But this is original. Coming into the courtyard here, this is a hexagonal courtyard, and although it's very bright now, prior to the 1644 explosion, it would have been much, much darker. That explosion brought down a lot of these walls and brought in a lot of light as well. This is the remains of a well. It was likely used until the 16th century when piped water was introduced here. After that, I believe it was used pretty much as a dumping ground because pieces of pottery, fragments and things like that were found, like 16th, 17th century pottery fragments were recovered from here. So let me explain this explosion to you a little bit better. At the time, this castle was owned by the Arundel family. They purchased it, I believe, in the mid-1500s. Thomas Arundel, the second Lord Arundel, was living here with his wife Blanche. Now this is during the Civil War, like I said. Now he left her here and went to Oxford to meet with the king, basically leaving the castle defenseless. And that's when the first siege happened. At that time, it was taken over by the parliamentarians, but the explosion that damaged the castle so badly was an attempt to take the castle back. For almost 4 months, the second siege lasted, and what happened was a shaft was dug under the castle walls and filled with gunpowder. Now it's believed that this was going to be a kind of a last-ditch effort, or maybe not used at all, because most believe that the Arundels would not have wanted to destroy their own castle, and it's believed that the explosion came from a stray bullet. The explosion took out a large chunk of the castle, and after 3 days more, the parliamentarians surrendered. And this is how Wardour has looked ever since. And much like some of the other castles that I visited here, this one is still privately owned. Lord Talbot, who is Lord Arundel's successor, owns this castle and this property still. The Arundel family, who took ownership of this castle in the mid-1500s, eventually built a new Wardour in 1776, which then made this Old Wardour. But they still admired this castle. They still picnicked here, and it's always been a beautiful place to come. By 1776, This original castle had been in ruins for over 100 years. I wonder if they looked at it even back then the same way we do now. Just an amazing and beautiful part of history that seems so long ago. Look at these, the walls, the windows, how deep this is, and how narrow the window is. The barred opening behind you looks down just 2 small cellars at the lower level. From there, a tunnel allowed secure access in and out of the castle. Hey, look at this latrine. Wardour actually had a pretty elaborate sanitary system for the 14th century. I mean, they were connected to vertical down shafts, which led to 2 vaulted main drains, which ran underneath the castle and then down the hill outside. Oh, here we go. Legitimate castle steps here. And look, you can see, look how worn these steps are. Well, clearly that was a fireplace. Wow, look at this. This was the Great Hall. Look at those windows. We are standing in the ceremonial heart of the castle, used on feast days when the Lord and Lady dined here with the whole household. The hall was the grandest room of the castle. The tall windows were glazed, a luxury in medieval times, and walls would have been covered in painted decoration and rich wall hangings. Wow, these old stairs. Look at that. Just worn away. Oh yeah, so this is completely gated off. See, there must have been obviously a floor above us, because this is a doorway. You could still see parts of the hinges and a header or something up there. And here's a random fireplace. I feel like this would have been more of a hallway, but I don't know. This was the great chamber. If the hall was the ceremonial heart of the medieval castle, the great chamber was the more private space for dining and entertaining. Lord Lovell used the chamber on his own or with small groups of family and guests. Here's a rendition. Here's another latrine here. And look, so these stairs really don't go anywhere. Oh, I see. So they went up there. And you can actually see the stairs went even higher. So this was a total circular staircase going all the way up there. This is the servery. The cooks in the kitchen pass the cooked food through the hatch to the servers in this servery. The servery is sometimes called the pantry. Oh, that's interesting. So this is where it would be stored. Huh. Look at this room. Oh, was this a giant fireplace? Yes, this was the kitchen. This was one huge fireplace. Probably almost 20 feet across. Look at the damage that it did from the heat. Huh. 2 huge fireplaces provided the heat for boiling stews in the cauldron and for roasting meat on a spit. A narrow staircase leads up to a small room that might have been the cook's chamber. The lower-ranking kitchen staff probably slept on the kitchen floor, where the fire embers kept them warm. This is the room. Well, this is a narrow staircase. Steep steps. So this was most likely the cook's room. Boy, you can never complain about a small studio apartment now. Probably only like maybe 3 feet across. Wow. This was the buttery. Beer and wine were stored here in the butts, in the barrels. Servants could then pour the drinks into the beakers made of leather, wood, pottery, or even glass, and take it directly to the guests in the hall. The staircase led down to the larger storage cellar on the floor below. A buttery is sometimes referred to as a butlery. Oh yeah, so these are the stairs that it went down. But we are going up yet again. Again, look at these steps, how they're all worn. Oh wow, it even just continues going up from here. Jeez. This is a legit tower. Oh my gosh. It just keeps going. Oh, so this goes right up here and then ends. So obviously there was a level up here, a floor. Look at that though. Look at this amazing view up here. Now, I think at one time this was all gardens. Long after the explosion, long after the Arundel family, who owned it in the 1500s, moved out of it, and it was just elaborate gardens at that point. So this was lodgings. The castle once had more than a dozen bedchambers, arranged in suites for the family, guests, and senior staff. Many of these chambers were destroyed in the Civil War.
You get lost. God, this is amazing.
Look at these stairs, look at this ceiling. How cool is that? These archways. back down to the center court here, and then outside I'll show you what some more views. This thing is damaged. Talk about character. Look at the stairs, they go all the way up. You can see the craftsmanship even from here, all the way up to the tower. Wow. Here, look at this grotto up here. It's a huge grotto. This was built by Josiah and Joseph Lane in 1792, who were pretty renowned grotto builders for that time. This thing's pretty awesome. I don't think I've ever seen a grotto like this before. It would definitely be a cool hangout spot. You know, if you were a kid growing up in this castle, it'd be pretty awesome. So I just thought you'd like to see this. This is just a beautiful castle in the English countryside here.